Hi folks, it's late night here, it's 1:45 AM in the morning, coincidentally on the election day, the UK election day, so there's loads of political bullshit going on at the moment, from everywhere. This thing is just a experimental, different kind of vlog, I guess. It could be like a long vlog or a bit of a stream. I have my camcorder set up here, which is just to point at my ugly face and put it in the corner of the screen, and I have my microphone there as I watch some stuff. Maybe it's like a reaction video or something. I'm looking at things that have happened in current year. So the year began with Donald Trump being elected, and it seems like so much has fucking changed since I did my answers to the questions for anti-SJW's video last October, I think. Bloody hell, so much has fucking changed since then. You thought it was bad in 2016, and then it got maybe worse. It'd be nice to look at some little highlights of things I noticed as I went along and react to them, although I won't be able to emote fully because it's like almost 2 in the morning. So without further ado, let's just jump into it, you beautiful bastards! There we go, we're rolling. This is GADSAD, Decolonise Racist Mathematics via Black Studies.
Eastern Michigan University to require Black Studies course in all majors. Let me read you the opening 2 bullet points. Eastern Michigan University is in the process of implementing a Black student 10-point plan that would require faculty to build a course on Black Studies into the curriculum of every major. The plan acknowledges that it will be difficult to incorporate the subject matter into fields such as natural sciences, but says this will simply require revisions to many courses. Absolutely, I mean, after all, if you want to study neurobiology or chemistry, physics, mathematics, computer science, psychology, you can't really fully understand those fields if you don't recognize that much of the knowledge in those fields was created by racist white men. So I posted some comments earlier this morning on my social media regarding this particular plan, so let me read it to you right now. So I say, sounds like a great idea. If you are a mathematics major, you should learn about, among other topics, number theory, differential equations, discrete mathematics, linear algebra, probability and statistics, combinatorics, geometry and topology, and how all of this knowledge was created by, quote, racist white men, and according to how you need to, quote, decolonize your mind. Identity politics is a cancer of the human mind. It is an affront to the pursuit of truth, and it is an affront to the dignity of the individual.
Bear with me, I'm just finding my legs for this format. I don't quite know when to turn off the camera and stuff. So that was GADSAD. He's a Lebanese Jew science professor in Canada. I don't know if he's in Montreal, or I think it's Montreal actually. Might be wrong. He's brilliant. Basically, he's fighting the good fight, talking about all the stuff that's going on in American, Canadian university campuses about social justice, and as you heard there, people in social justice are trying to say that you have to decolonize science. That's their new shtick lately. There was this weird video, I don't know if it was from the end of last year, this is from the very end of last year, where there's like this South African school or something, and they've made their own little kind of safe space room, and the people in the room are on like there's like 5 of them or so on a panel. There might be more than 5, and it's a black girl saying, we have to decolonize science. We can't teach science to students in our university because it's all wrong, because it was found out by white people because of the patriarchy and all that, you know.
Okay, so can I respond to your submissions, because I wanted to directly respond. I was actually thinking about this coming here because I thought that it was going to be one of the coming questions. How do we even start to decolonize science? Because science is true because it is science, and you know, what can you do? And my response to that was, if I personally were committed to enforcing decolonization, science as a whole is a product of Western modernity, and the whole thing should be scratched off, especially in Africa. So if we want practical solutions to how to decolonize science, we'd have to restart science from, I don't know, an African perspective, from our perspective of how we've experienced science. For instance, I had a question for all the science people. Is there's a place in KZN, and they believe that through the magic, the black magic, you call it black magic, they call it witchcraft, others, that you are able to send a lightning to strike someone. So can you explain that scientifically? Because it is something that happens
I need to address you directly. When we started this, we agreed on certain house rules.
Okay.
And by you doing that, you're disrespecting the sacredness of the space.
So basically every bit of science that's ever been learnt has been learnt from a white point of view. And we have to dismantle the whole structure. We have to dismantle every part of science, all that's been learned, and relearn it again from scratch, from a black perspective. And this is just another kind of social justice, diversity, anti-white kind of theme that's running through Black Lives Matter and feminism and social justice, where basically they don't believe you can be racist to white men, which is bullshit, because they've invented a new definition for racism, which is that it's not just being prejudiced against someone based on their skin colour or their race or where they come from. It's now prejudice plus power. So they've brought like power into the equation, saying, you know, this is the privilege thing from social justice. You know, saying if you're rich and got loads of money and you grew up with rich parents, or you're always middle class, you've always had the upper hand on minorities and coloured folks and women, which is not true. Like, they would say, because I'm white, apparently, although when I look in the mirror I see kind of blues and peaches and cream colours and pinks and yellows and browns, but no, apparently I'm white anyway. They see me and they say, oh well, your ancestors were slavers, weren't they? So they put the black men down. I'm like, no. I was born in Britain. Slavery was abolished. It was abolished really early in Britain. The 1830s, there was a Slavery Abolition Act in the UK, and by the 1840s and 50s, I think it was mostly gone. For a very long time in Britain, we've not had slavers, and my dad obviously not involved in anything like that. My granddad, who fought in World War II in Burma, which I think is now Myanmar, nothing to do with slavery for him, and I didn't know my great-granddad, so I have absolutely, I mean, how can someone I don't know have any ties to me? So I don't know what they did, you know. I don't know if my great-granddad or my great-great-granddad or my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-granddad was anything to do with the slave trade before the 1800s. But what's it got to do with me, you know? You got people, white people living in Australia, no connection to slavers at all in their history, and even like even if you were an American, say, and in your recent-ish past, your great-granddad, let's say, was one of the slavers of black people before slavery got abolished there, which I think was a lot later than it did in places like England. Why would your granddad or your great-granddad being a slaver, let's say your granddad, because a white guy is more likely to know his granddad than his great-granddad. How exactly would them being a slaver rub off on you? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And then they go, well, okay, it's not just that, it's the patriarchy, it's structures put in place by people. And it's like, well, they were put in place by the government. It was lots of different people building up structures based on kind of decisions made jointly in government. You can't really... And they blame so many people, a broad swathe of mostly white male people they blame for slavery, when either it's not your granddad, or if it is your granddad, how does it affect you in any way? How does it affect your behaviour if your granddad was a slaver? I mean, that might not mean your dad was even racist in any way, you know. That might not mean you were racist. I mean, that's a long generational jump between 3 generations of fathers following in their footsteps, doing this socially unacceptable thing. I just don't understand these people. And I think, like, not only is there a patriarchy and every white male is born racist, this is basically what their argument is that white men are born privileged. They've got male privilege, which means that they're born as a baby with some power over females, and they're born as a white with some power over black people, and so they're born wrong and they have to be repressed at birth and taught about their own guilt from birth. That's child abuse. That's fucking insane that you would do that to a person. And as a result, they've got all these stupid ideas about how minorities should be made to feel super proud at schools, and they'd like to segregate them out from white people who should be taught to feel super guilty about themselves at schools. And now they've come out with this shtick that, like, some people are saying, all science is wrong. It has to be deconstructed because it was learnt by someone with a different skin pigmentation, and therefore we need to rediscover science. And they call it decolonising science, and this is what Gad's talking about here. And it boggles the mind just how wrong you can be. This was meant to be a short segment, man. I'm just fucking... I'm like riffing off Gad's video here. Once you get started on one of these videos, you just get so dumbfounded at how someone could be so stupid and in such a position of authority that they could breed their stupidity and change rules and force it onto other people within a school setting and do this stuff to kids. Ugh. The world is burning.